Think about the early savanna. It's vast, mostly empty, and incredibly unforgiving. Every meal requires immense energy to track down, and failure usually means going to sleep starving. We like to picture early human tribes sitting peacefully around a warm campfire, passing roasted meat to their neighbors with a gentle smile and a pure, generous heart. But picture what actually happens right after a successful hunt. The scariest moment of a prehistoric day isn't the charging predator. It's the absolute heavy silence that falls the second an animal hits the mud. You have a dozen heavily armed, desperately hungry people, and they are all staring at the same massive, unhoardable pile of fat and protein. The prize is huge. There are zero laws and absolutely no police. Put a mountain of vital calories in the middle of a desperate group with nothing to protect it, and you have the perfect recipe for a violent brawl. People are going to get clubbed. To survive this recurring nightmare, our ancestors quietly developed an unwritten manual. They created a set of brutal, heavily calculated rules that forced everyone to play fair, driven entirely by the cold logic of keeping their teeth intact. Rule 1 of the manual: you cannot guard a mountain. Think about the physics of a mammoth kill. It's the size of a small hut. You cannot list it, you cannot drag it, and you certainly can't stuff it under your bearskin to sneak home. If you threw the winning spear, what exactly is your plan? Stand on top of a rotting carcass holding a stick, growling at your 11 starving relatives for 3 straight days? Anthropologists have a wonderfully blunt name for how humans solved this. They call it tolerated theft. The hunter simply lets everyone else walk up and take the meat. Defending a gigantic carcass from 12 armed neighbors burns more calories and costs more blood than it saves. Because fighting is a mathematical net loss, the giant animal defaults to a public good. It flows out into the group out of pure physical necessity. Rule 2: the loudest empty stomach wins. This breaks our concept of prehistoric politeness entirely. Researchers wanted to see how actual hunter-gatherers handle a sudden surplus of food, so they ran tests with the Hadza people in Tanzania, a group who still hunt and gather the old way. This chart breaks down the actual behavior observed in the study. It shows that when someone was handed extra resources, only 40% chose to share. 30% looked at their advantage and kept it. But a massive 60% of the have-nots simply reached over and took what they wanted. Imagine our triumphant hunter, Grok, kneeling over his kill. Old Nara, who hasn't caught anything all week, doesn't wait to be offered a piece. She marches right up, peels off a hindquarter, and walks away. The researchers actually call this demand sharing. Those equal splits we imagine didn't happen because people felt warm and fuzzy. They happened because hungry people forcefully demanded a cut, and the hunter knew better than to argue. Rule 3: keep a tab. This is where the immediate physical problem turns into a long-term mathematical one. Hunting is a casino. Most days, a hunter goes out, burns a ton of energy, and comes home with nothing but a bruised ego and 0 calories. Lots of animals trade favors, but usually it's a snack in exchange for grooming or backup in a fight. Humans developed the evolutionary quirk of trading food for food. There's an invisible mental ledger running in the background. Grok lets Nara take that meat today. Next week, Grok pulls a muscle and catches nothing. Nara remembers, and Nara feeds Grok. Passing the surplus around in a continuous loop acts as primitive insurance. It takes the wildly unpredictable jackpot of a successful hunt and flattens it out into a steady, survivable income. But any system like this has a glaring vulnerability. There is always the threat of the freeloader. The person who is always first in line to take a cut of your meat, but mysteriously comes up empty-handed when it's their turn to share. That brings us to Rule 4: the tribe never forgets. Humanity's absolute best weapon against a mooch wasn't a spear, it was weaponized gossip. Roughly 2/3 of all human conversation is focused entirely on other people. We are built to track exactly who is reliable and who is a flake. There are no judges or prisons, but if you hoard your meat, the tribe remembers. The invitations to the good hunts dry up. The camp stops sharing their cuts with you, and they quietly forget to wake you for the dawn hunt. Put all these rules together, and fairness reveals itself as kindness with teeth. It is a brilliant machine where generosity is forcefully squeezed out of people by self-interest and the overwhelming pressure of the crowd. Fast forward from the muddy tundra to a modern restaurant table. Dinner is over and the server drops the receipt right in the middle of the group. A friend orders the most expensive steak, drinks 3 cocktails, and then cheerfully suggests splitting the bill evenly. That uncomfortable spike of tension you feel right now, that is the exact same tension of 12 cavemen staring at a freshly killed carcass. When everyone complains about that cheap friend in a separate group chat on the ride home, that is the prehistoric gossip machine, operating exactly as it did a million years ago to exile a greedy hunter. We call this manners, or modern etiquette. It is actually a 2-million-year-old biological reflex, still running its original survival code in your brain. Our deep, stubborn instinct for fair play was not handed down by polite society. It was hammered into our DNA in the mud, over a mountain of meat that nobody could carry home. If this made you side-eye your own dinner table, hit that subscribe button. And please, share this video with the known freeloader in your friend group. You already know exactly who they are. See you in the next one.